Welcome to Sustainable Leadership Live. I am Lisa Danforth, your host, and today we have the wonderful Shauna Van Mourik. Shauna, thank you so much for joining us today. I cannot wait to hear what you have to share.
I'm ridiculously excited about this call.
You were going to be talking about how to show up sustainably in life and in business. And I think that is so very important because life and business or life and work are not mutually exclusive. They are interdependent. But before we jump right in, I do want to share a little bit about Shauna and why we have her here today. Shauna is an advocate for positively impacting the world. She uses her skills to create a space where ambitious women feel comfortably confident while leading authentically and inspiring ripples in their communities. Psychology-based, goal-oriented, and people-focused, Shauna believes that marketing confidence makes a difference and that it not only has to convert, but it has to feel good too. And I cannot agree more with you there because it can get a little uncomfortable. So let's jump right in with this because I think I know I struggle with, creating that content and having it be sustainable and feeling good. So where do you suggest people start? Like, what is that foundation that we can start moving from?
Yeah, well, it's funny because there's a program that I actually host, a workshop rather. And the first thing that I always tell people do is very contradictory to what they think I'm going to tell them to do. Because we always talk about when you're showing up in your marketing for your business, you want to be goal aligned. You hit the nail on the head, right? Psychology focused, goal aligned, or all that jazz. So when we're being goal aligned, people always expect me to ask them, what's your goal? What do you want to reach? And usually this is something to the effect of, bottom line, money, or, traffic or lead gen, that sort of thing.
Or I don't know.
or I don't know. That's right. But what I actually ask them is what lights your soul on fire, right? What fills your cup? What makes you feel good? And they are always confused. Because they say, what does that have to do with your marketing? What does that have to do with me showing up for my business and attracting my dream clients? I said, listen, slow down. You are your business, right? Businesses are people. So if you're not functioning at your best, if you have not taken the time to nourish yourself, to nourish your soul, to nourish your brain, your heart, all of that, then you're not going to be able to show up as your best self when you're putting yourself out there, which is going to impact pretty much every single element of what you put out there. If you're showing up on camera and you haven't taken the time, like I did last night, to read a really great book, that's the thing that I love reading. If I didn't take the time to do that, then maybe your brain starts moving a little more slowly. Maybe you're not feeling as inventive with your thoughts and you're not able to come up with things that you would otherwise be able to do. This goes the same. If bubble baths are your thing, put that in your schedule first. Yeah. Every other day, I need to have a bubble bath in order to feel my best, to feel fresh and lively. Excellent. Put that in your schedule first. Not your goal, not your to-do list.
Right.
That.
When you feel better, you do better physically, emotionally, and financially. I love what you said there because it's what I often teach as well, is if it makes you more productive and feeling better and positive, put it in your business plan, right? If making a pot of soup helps you, gardening, if a bubble bath, reading a book, whatever it is, we have to start from that place of feeling good in order to truly connect to our creativity, I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you mentioned gardening because it's just entering into spring and I am here for it.
I'm ready to get my hands dirty. Absolutely.
That's right.
So can you give a couple of ideas or examples or questions really for people to start pondering? Because I don't know about you, but I find a lot of people, especially today's day and age, they're like, I don't know what lights me up. I've just had my head down for so long. I'm disconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of times it's like trying on clothes at a store. You're not quite sure what's going to look good on you until you try it on. So I just suggest trying something new every day. So it's actually something that can become your thing in and of itself, which is neat. So if it's your mission to try something new every day, and it can be something small, then that can just be the thing that lets you can develop that urge that lights you up. I did something new today. I tried, I don't know, sushi for the first time, or and I can imagine, and I have seen this happen. It escalates to the point where I booked a skydiving lesson. right? Okay, excellent. I'm so proud of you. But that's truly where you start realizing, oh, you know what? I've never really tried pottery class. Maybe I'm going to do that. And then you love it. Or maybe you don't. And that's okay, because you're figuring something out. Now, if you're not kind of in the position to try something new every day, I do encourage you to try something new as frequently as possible. But I mean, I'm not going to argue that I'm a some sort of coach or deep thinking psychiatrist or anything like that. But truly, if you can take a moment to sit with yourself and to talk to the child within you, I know that sounds hokey, and I know, but the thing is, things that are cliche and hokey, they're that way for a reason. It's because they're true. Because they hold such profound truth that we almost want to reject them. And so in this case, it's the same thing. Think about the child within you and ask him or her, what does this look like in its shape of joy, right? Like, where do I feel the closest to joy? And then follow that path. I guess that's at the root of it. That's at the root of it all.
I'm really hearing you say we need to sit in the discomfort a little, be a little uncomfortable in order to, not always, right? But if we're not used to it, to reconnect to our creativity, reconnect to what might be getting in the way of our creativity.
Yeah. And it's really profound, the things that you can come up with, because you don't realize where those blocks came from. And that's where I really love the psychology behind all of what I do. That's why I really lean into that, is because you are being conditioned every single day. You are being fed so much information, and you have been since birth. And so finding your authentic self and showing up in that way can be very challenging. You need to weed through all of these schemas that were imposed upon you to figure out what actually lights you on fire. And so it's true, sitting in the discomfort for a little bit and being ruthlessly honest with yourself can get you to a place where you can show up in a way that makes you shine, by contrast to all of these people who are really being copycats.
I think everything that you're saying is just so true. We need to be able to pause. To me, that pause is my word. I love that. To pause, to ponder before we proceed in moving forward, or neglect or not to move forward with something, to really be curious about it. And that is where that creativity comes from. I believe it's like that zero-sum energy. We can certainly get into motion, but is it moving us in the direction that we want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And comes right back to that being goal aligned. And if you don't start with you and who you are and what really, I always just, that lights your soul on fire, because I felt it. You get back to, because I've been in the groove. I've been in that groove where you're like, go, go, go. We got to get this done. Task, 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 task. And it wasn't until I started remembering the things that really was like, oh, that really got me going. Like that really lit the spark. And actually, it's a great example is my cup here. It's got Harry Potter, because I love magic. I love all of those things. And I wasn't really implementing those into anything that I was doing in business. And even though I love my business, I loved it in a very mental space. I loved that. But it wasn't that soul space. And so when I was able to combine those two things, everything started to enter into this flow, this state of just like, it makes sense. I get it. I'm confident and I'm comfortable in my space. And I've got my Harry Potter glasses that I like to wear every once in a while, just like I rock it, and it just feels better. And that's why that's the first thing I say is just figure out what lights your soul on fire first, and then find out how the rest of it fills in the path to your goals.
Yeah, I'm really hearing a synergistic quality, like bringing our whole selves to the table, the comfortable, not comfortable, the creative, the structured, the whatever it is that's going to support us and sustain us in moving forward. Let's talk a little bit about, we were talking in the green room, the one thing which I'm certified in, and I love when people are into it because it is so darn effective, but also the 12-week year, is it?
Yes, the 12-week year. Oh my goodness. So these two things are some of my favorites, like principles to follow in order to be, we keep going back to this goal aligned, and I love it. This is great. This is amazing. This is how we get stuff done, which is, I mean, who doesn't love checking off a box on their list, right? Like it's satisfying. And we were talking about this too, atomic habits. That's another thing of habit formation, right? And checking the box feels good. It's that those
in your brain that you want to do more. Sorry to interrupt you, but like that's
so like all of these things work together. So when I'm helping people with their marketing, with their strategy, and even with and because the strategy, it's all about the systems and processes as well. So it's not just because everybody's done with this, and I was done with it as soon as I heard it. Just show up. Just that's the equivalent of build it and they will come. No, it's not true. That's not the way it works. And so I approach things from the systems and processes. Who does what, when, and where, and how? Okay, we're going to actually outline it, create a system for it, and make sure it's executed properly. There is, of course, room for flow, for spontaneity. There's always room for spontaneity, but there's enough structure to keep the momentum going. In order to create that structure, in order to make sure that it actually achieves your goals, I combine the 12-week year and the one thing. The one thing helps us to narrow down and really focus on the goal that matters most, that will move the needle forward towards those goals and actually achieving those goals. The 12-week year helps you to achieve it faster because it brings it to your reality. It brings it right in front of your face. The tagline, I believe, I'm going to probably misquote this, but it's accomplish more in 12 weeks than others do in a year, in 12 months. Right. And the idea behind it is that you've got those goals, let's call it your New Year's resolutions, right? Instead of setting your New Year's resolution for 12 months from now, which seems very far away, I'll get to it. You get 2 months in, you start to slack and you're like, yeah, but I've got a year. Right. But if it's 12 weeks and you get 2 months in and you start to slack, you've only got a month left. You're in hustle mode. You're like, I got to keep this up. And then you reset the goal after the 12 weeks. Now, what's cool about that is that you could potentially set the same goal if you want to, with different parameters that accelerate you in the same direction. Now, when you're setting that goal, remember, it's not only a goal based on the one thing, but it's also a goal based, it's a SMART goal, right? We're making sure that it's measurable and you're able to set it and say, okay, so if it's measurable, I wanted to achieve 10x of something and I did it in my first 12 weeks. Well, now I'm going to achieve 20x. And you just keep building on the same goal if it makes sense based on the one thing. Right. So you see how it's cyclical and it just all leans into each other, builds up. And I get really excited when I see this happen.
I'm with you. I totally geek out on this stuff. The one thing, the habits and whatnot. I am a firm believer that structure equals freedom. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders who are like, I don't like all of that structure, and they buck that, they buck that in their days. And what happens is they actually lose their freedom because they're not getting their priorities done. They're busy, but they're not productive. Yeah. They're efficient, but they're not effective. And when we are effective and we are productive is when we actually create more space in our mind, more space in our day, and we can create more of what we want or just relax.
Yeah. And I really love those dichotomy words. I think those are really, really great. And I was also thinking about creating space in your day, about creating space in your mind. One way that I approach this, because I experience the same thing. People want to post on the fly because they feel it's more authentic. And I'm all about authenticity. These are my two things, authenticity and simplicity. We want to keep it simple and we want to show up as our true selves. Mm-hmm. Complete synergy, like you said. Now, people, like you said, they buck at the thought that, oh, well, now I need to be structured. That doesn't feel authentic. And there are a lot of ways to make it authentic and to include spontaneity within your strategy. But what I'm frequently telling people is that there is such a thing, and it's a psychological condition whereby you get choice overwhelm. And if you
decision fatigue,
that's it. So if you've already made those choices for yourself in the structure of your day, that takes out all of that, right? It's gone. Now you don't need to think about that. You have literally freed up all of that space for creative energies to flow, to post spontaneously within the construct of your structure. But if you choose that I just want to relax. I don't feel like posting. You already have the structure in place. You've already probably scheduled your post based on the way that I teach. So it's already going to go out. So you're not actually missing out on showing up for your people. So it works in your favor both ways. You're showing up because the system's there, and you can, if you would like to, show up spontaneously with more energy and more flow because the system is there. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful the way it winds up working out.
It is when we allow it, we can, I believe so many, at least of my clients, we look through a different lens, right? We look through it as I don't want to do it. It's too much structure. It's too hard. I don't know. But to be able to approach it and just play with it, just be open to what it's going to look like in a week or 2 weeks, or in Atomic Habits. I know James Clear talks about time and consistency, which is a term that I love. We value the present more than we value the future. And I think that's what happens to us, is we value the freedom in the moment, but the cost is in the future. How do you start shifting people? If you are into the habits and the one thing and the 12-week year, like what are some of the tools that you recommend people start leaning into to start shifting into that structure?
This is going to sound very counterintuitive, but you totally hit the nail on the head when you were talking about being playful. Mm-hmm. So I remind them that they're the boss. You are the boss. Mm-hmm. You are the boss. You get to choose. You are not ironed into this flat space. This is not the space in which we function as human beings. We're creative beings in a variety of different ways. And so you get to choose. You start to implement this, you get to play with it. We change the conversation from we're implementing this system to we're going to play with this for a minute. Mm-hmm. We're going to see how it goes. And we're going to find out what works and what doesn't work. And we're going to roll with what works. And we're going to toss what doesn't work because we're the boss. It makes it a lot more fun. And that's really what it's all about. And that's, it goes right back to, let's do Harry Potter. It's just, it just makes it more fun. I have more fun recording videos when I take off my seeing glasses, which now everything's blurry, and I put on, these ones are blue lights, but they're still, I just kind of feel like I could cast a spell. It just makes it more fun. If I'm feeling like, I need a little bit of a change, I change my glasses, and it makes it more fun. It goes the same way with your content strategy, with your marketing, with how you're showing up. Play with it. You don't have to do anything. I could show up here with a weird hat on if I wanted to.
And to be able to come at it from that angle, right? Of just play. I know for me, when I get stuck, you put on your glasses, you've got your mug. For me, it's actually dancing. I will put on one of my favorite songs, close the shade so no one can see me, and just dance around. And that shifts up the energy and allows the creativity to come forward. So I would invite the audience who is listening, what helps you be more creative? What helps you release the grip of, I can't do this, this is hard, or whatever it is, to pause and start thinking about different ways that it could be easy. What if it could be easy? What would that look like?
Oh, that's beautiful. And the power of what if. Right? I think that's really magical, that in and of itself. And you were talking about closing the windows. Are you kidding me? I leave the blinds open. I turn on Jason Mraz, feel like dancing, and people are watching me do my thing. And I'm like, hey, and who knows? And this is beautiful because then, and I'm not just in it to do marketing. I want to raise people's voices and raise people's energies and make people feel good about what they are, who they are, what they're doing, all that jazz. Help you make not just waves, but or rather reverse that, not just ripples, but waves. I really, really want you to feel that way. And so if you close the windows and you put a cap on your happiness, anyone who could have seen you, they may have just smiled for the first time in a week. Right? Can you imagine the impact that you could make just by leaving your curtains open?
Mm-hmm.
I use that same analogy. It's true though. I use that same analogy for if people are hesitant to show up in a certain way, that's true to themselves. And so you're putting a cap on the way you're showing up. That's limiting not just yourself, but other people.
I'm going to challenge you.
Do it. Oh, I'm excited.
So I love these conversations.
Yeah.
the thing is that if you're doing it for you, you can do it for you. If it's going to change how you show up, then do it the way that is going to allow you to show up. I 100% agree with you, like to not limit yourself, to not, you could impact other people, but right now it's not about other people. It's about me. And I'm going to show up and I'm going to play in a way that feels good for me, right? Which allows me to show up and be more creative in my writing and be more creative in my social posts and be able to get out there and do videos like you were talking about. So it's all about what fits us that allows us to step forward and step forward sustainably, right? It's all about how do we show up sustainably in life and business. And I'm just really hearing pausing and playing are fundamental in being able to do that, to integrate both all the different areas of our life and showing up as a whole person so we can create the impact that we're here to make, but also the income that we're here to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. And I'm going to say that there are two different views to what you just said. So
there's probably 20.
I know. Showing up for yourself, if that's what you need to do for yourself, and it is indeed for yourself, and you feel as though you need to create a bubble, absolutely. There was a reel going around that I emulated with Sheldon Cooper when I want to say it was Bernadette said, "You've got to get out of your comfort zone," and he says, "Why would I do that? It's called a comfort zone for a reason." and that's true. I believe in that. I do. If that's where you feel safe, if that's where you feel like you'll get the most energy by being in your own space, doing your own thing, absolutely. I would just hate to have somebody feel like they need to close the door and shield their happiness, because I see this a lot, especially in women, where they feel like they can't exude too much emotion, at least not publicly. And so I just want to make that okay both ways. If you feel like it feels better to close the door, awesome, close the door, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Don't put a bottle on it if you don't want to.
All personal choice is how we show up sustainably so that we are belonging and not fitting in. I love this. Believe it or not, we are over time, if you can believe it. I know we could go on forever, right? Probably. So I'd love to just ask you a question. Yeah. What habit or boundary has supported you in living and leading a more sustainable life?
I've been thinking about that for a while. And it's funny because it's a real culmination of things, and it's hard to pinpoint one specific thing. But I actually, at least right now in life, and keeping in mind, I'm going to say this to you and then to all the people watching, these things change and will evolve as you change and evolve and grow. But currently, right now, I think I have frequently it's been just present in mind, whether intentionally or not. James Clear, we're going back to the Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, do. It's quite profound. Yes. And when he spoke, and this is right at the beginning, about habits being not the thing you do, but the person you're becoming. I think that right now is the thing that's impacting so much of my world and creating more of a sustainable lifestyle for myself. When I drop off my kids, I tell myself, I'm the kind of person who goes for a half an hour walk after I drop off my kids. That's just the type of person I am. I'm the kind of person who drinks tea in the morning. We were talking about coffee earlier.
That's for 1 o'clock, right?
That's it. So just these ideas. I'm the type of person who only, in my youth, I struggled with overeating and I was overweight and it was a thing. Okay. So I changed my perspective. I shift gears. I'm the kind of person who only has one helping because I don't need the other. And I know that can be a very touchy thing, but for me, that was the truth. Right? Yeah. I'm the kind of person who dances with the blinds open. It's just a wild woman. So yes, that's the thing. I think just understanding that even if I'm not showing it now, thinking that's the kind of person I am and allowing my behaviors to follow suit, that's impacted everything in such a beautiful way.
It is identity-based goals. I love it. I love it. Shauna, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance, your fun, your just dynamic personality with us. I really appreciate it. Where can people reach out and connect with you? What's your social platform, preferred one, your website?
So I'm in most places. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Instagram, you'll find me at SLA Marketing Confidence. LinkedIn, it's my name, Shauna Van Mourik. Facebook, same. I also have a Facebook group, which is a really fun place for you to hang out. It's completely free. And I go in there like this all the time and I talk to people. And it's fun.
She's
And
dancing while she's there.
yeah, it's a good time. And I also love to give tips and tricks and help people when you say, hey, I'm struggling with this, I'll give you the answer. No bars held. I don't like gatekeeping. I'm just gonna watch you succeed and cheer you on. So yes, that's where you can find me. My website will be slamarketingconfidence.com. It's currently under renovation, so wait for it and celebrate with me when it goes live.
You can go back in and post when it's live. Definitely.
That's great.
Shauna, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. This has been a joy.
It's been fun. Next week, I have Kelly Daniel, who is coming back April 5th. So please join us at 10 a.m. East Coast, 7 a.m. Pacific for a conversation with the fabulous Kelly Daniel. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Bye.